The Genius Act explicitly bars members of Congress and federal officials from profiting off stable coins, but exempts the president, vice president, and their families. What?
This is not an auto pen, by the way.
Oh, dear leader. Oh, dear leader has the best jokes. Trump signs the Genius Act. Oh my God, does that make him a genius?
Thank you very much. Yeah, we worked hard. It's a very important act, the Genius Act. They named it after me, and I want to thank you. I want to thank you.
Okay.
This is a hell of an act. But I said, I want to have them over. We're going to have a party.
What the f is this bill about? I don't know. I don't know what he's talking about. I don't care. Regulatory framework for crypto. Okay. Let me just hear this talk about crypto. It's funny to me. Go.
Take a giant step to cement the American dominance of global finance and crypto technology as we sign the landmark Genius Act.
I love it when you know he's reading a script and he can't even ad-lib because he has no fucking idea what it's like the subject matter.
Into law. So congratulations to everybody. This is a big deal. You've come a long way since the Biden administration when they had no idea what you were all talking about. And half of you were under arrest for no reason whatsoever. So for no reason. And we want to have it, not China. China wasn't actually happy. They were watching this. They like it. And we've got this. We've got AI. We've got a lot of great ones happening. And this is a very big thing. And I want to thank the bill's author, Senator Bill Hagerty, a very good friend of mine. Thank you, Bill. Easy. I think. Good. You guys have been great. Thank you very much. Great to be with you. Let me say the entire crypto community, for years, you were mocked and dismissed and counted out. You were counted out as little as a year and a half ago. But this signing is a massive validation. And even before this signing, over the last year and a half, I think your stuff has gone up more than any stock, or just about more.
Are you for or against the bill? The bill itself? I have no idea. I don't even know what the fuck is in it. I tried to read yesterday, but I couldn't find any details. So,
champion player. I stopped the weaponization of government against crypto and Bitcoin, and we ended the lawless Operation Choke Point 2.0. That was a bad operation. Then I kept my promises to the community and granted a full presidential pardon to Ross Ulbricht. Ross Ulbricht.
Oh, thank you for linking me the whole bill. Section 17 of the bill is the only part that matters. Sec 17. Is there no Section 17? Good one.
So under the Trump administration, I mean, I just got back from Saudi Arabia, and the Trump administration, I mean,
he knows he's Trump, right? He didn't forget that, did he?
I just got back from Saudi Arabia, and we went to Qatar. We went to a number of countries, and I will tell you
You know the report Tulsi Gabbard drugged yesterday? No, but supposedly it's retarded. Stop! I didn't even click that!
The level of respect that this country has now is incredible. The UAE, I tell you what, we had a time there, but every leader said the same thing. They said 1 year ago, your country was dead. And they'd say it that way. It was like our country has now is incredible. The UAE, I tell you what, we had a time there, but every leader said the same.
Wait, does he think Qatar is a city in the UAE? Did he mean to say Dubai? I have no idea what he's talking about. I'm sorry, let me listen again. What?
I mean, I just got back from Saudi Arabia.
Okay.
And we went to Qatar.
Okay.
We went to a number of countries.
Okay.
And I will tell you the level of respect that this country has now is incredible. The UAE, I tell you what, we had a time.
Oh, you also went to the UAE, I guess.
Every leader said the same thing. They said 1 year ago, your country was dead. And they'd say it that way. It was like, I didn't know whether I was supposed to be happy or insulted. But the truth is, we were in deep trouble. But they said 1 year ago, your country was dead. And today you have the hottest country anywhere in the world. And it's true. We have the hottest country in the world. We had a country, we were a laughingstock with the borders, people pouring in.
What's the Mein Kampf quote or whatever? Hitler propaganda. I'm not going to be able to find it. It's about keeping propaganda stupid. I don't think Trump has studied any of this. He just happens to gravitate towards stupidity. There's a guy in chat who emailed me this quote. And I think we even read it in our book. I don't remember the quote though. Basically that if you want propaganda to work, it has to be understandable by the widest division or the widest the widest demographic of society possible. So it has to be super simple, it has to be easy to understand, it has to be emotionally charged, and then you have to repeat it over and over and over and over again. And it just feels like every single Trump speech, this is why it's so boring covering politics now. Every Trump speech is the same, it's the same rotating set of slogans over and 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 over again. And they're not even real. They're not even good slogans. They don't even make sense. We talk about Biden, No one used to respect us. Now they respect us. 15 trillion in donations, investment. 5,000 dead every day in Russia, Ukraine.
Yes. But he spoke totally fluent Japanese. I said, that's very impressive. And he was introducing me to Mr. Honda. I said, oh, are you in the car business? He goes, yes. I said, you're a very rich man. And then he said, Mr. Toyota, right? Toyota. And I said, what business are you in? Let me guess. He said, cars. He was my interpreter. And I was so impressed. And I was getting ready to leave. He said, sir, I'd like to run for the United States Senate.
Oh, it was this one. Was this for Mein Kampf? I feel like it was, but propaganda must always be directed at the masses. All propaganda must be popular, and its intellectual level must be adjusted to the most limited intelligence among those it is addressed to. Consequently, the greater the mass it is intended to reach, the lower its purely intellectual level will have to be. The receptivity of the great masses is very limited. Their intelligence is small, but their power of forgetting is enormous. In consequence of these facts, all effective propaganda must be limited to a very few points and must harp on these in slogans until the last member of the public understands what you want him to understand by your slogan. And it had to appeal to the emotions rather than to reason because the people in their overwhelming majority are so feminine by nature and attitude that sober reasoning determines their thoughts and actions far less than emotions and feeling.
Is it very important on day one? I remember I did this and I said this and I mentioned this name and I got the greatest applause of the whole campaign. We fired Joe Biden's SEC chair, Gary Gensler. We fired him. But I remember I was making a speech and, it was just a line in a speech. And I said, and I will fire Gary Gensler. The place exploded. I finished, I went and I said, what the hell did that guy do? There was a lot of hatred there, I'll tell you. And it turned out, as I got familiar with everything, it turned out you were absolutely right. There's a very important...
How the fuck do people not get tired of listening to this talk? He sounds like he's oozing IQ points. Well, we get tired of listening to him talk because we look at the news every day. For most people, they're not watching the news every single day. You just catch it every now and then, or you hear a clip from a speech. When he repeats these same talking points over and over again, it guarantees that everybody hears him at least once and that everybody's on message. That's why it's the same repetitive shit. If you only catch one Trump speech out of a week, you'll know all the talking points because he repeats them over and over again. Or if you only hear what Charlie Kirk says, or if you only hear what whatever random conservative says on their talk show, as long as you catch it like one time, you'll know all of the talking points for the week or the month because they repeat them over and over again.
They didn't want to be tariffed, did they, Howard? Huh? So it's amazing. No, we're not going to let the dollar slide. If we have a smart president, you're never going to let the dollar slide. If you have a dummy, that could happen. Like the last one, if you ever asked him about the dollar sliding, he would have no idea. But we can't let that ever happen again.
Since Trump took office on January 20th, 2025, the U.S. dollar index has declined from 108.06 January 21st close post-inauguration to 98.50 today, a fall of 8.85%, the worst first half drop since 1973. Based.
Sit down.
When? Yeah, sir.
You got it?
Didn't you? Thank you so much. Didn't you? Thank you so much.
This is not an auto pen, by the way.
Oh, dear leader has the best jokes.
This is not an auto pen, by the way. Which is a big scandal. If that were a Republican, it would really be a big scandal. But it is one of the great scandals of our time.
Are there any conservatives you think could still debate in good faith? For Trump 1, maybe. Trump 2, this term is indefensible. There's just no shot. There's a reason why the only people conservatives will debate are college students. Like there's just no way to defend this administration against anybody that knows what they're talking about. It's impossible. I mean, you've seen me. How many conversations have you seen me have this year? There was Tom Bilyeu. There were like the two lawyer people that I debated. I'll be like, what do you think about example? And they'll be like, okay, well, what about like this vague idea? And it's like, oh, I understand what you're saying about that vague idea, but isn't it kind of countered by the fact that example? And it's like, I just kind of feel like this big idea though. And it's like, I understand why you're saying that, but I don't get how you can say that when there's example, and then example. And they're like, We'll see at the end of the term. Okay.
Thank you very much, everybody.
There you have it. President Trump at the White House.
Wow. The Genius Act explicitly bars members of Congress and federal officials from profiting off stable coins, but exempts the president, vice president, and their families. What? That privilege does not extend to the president and his family. Even as Trump builds a crypto empire from the White House, his family holds a significant stake in World Liberty Fund. Well, how many of these acts usually cover the president? That might not be that abnormal, right? Like when you talk about like banning insider trading in Congress, does that normally extend to the president? I don't think it normally does. It is extra funny though that like the president is literally running some of the largest crypto scams in the world right now. But yeah, it's hard. It's presidents aren't normally this blatantly corrupt, so it's hard to say. Why would it not? Like, what would be a legitimate reason for that? Well, the reason why you want to ban Congress from doing things is one, there are no term limits, so people could theoretically be corrupt in there forever. And then two, Congress should theoretically have a more inside track on upcoming legislation and stuff being debated in committees than the president might. Like if you're part of a certain committee, you're going to be debating the ins and outs of some piece of legislation. You're probably going to be a little bit more in the know or looped in on that than the president might be, unless he's telling his White House to go and communicate with somebody's staffers or getting updates from somebody. But I don't know how normal or ordinary. Whether that should or shouldn't be the case. There's also a lot more attention on the president, so he shouldn't be able to get away with stuff like that. But it's hard to say because we've never had like a president, I think, this corrupt before. Like this openly, blatantly corrupt too. I had a MAGA friend of mine admit recently that he doesn't care to defend everything Trump does individually. He's just going to stand behind him because conservatives don't win often. Yeah, they also do this thing where how many people have I debated where like, well, I don't defend MAGA or I'm not MAGA. I don't defend Trump. I'm not a big Trump guy, but you better fucking believe that I'll crawl over a mile of glass to fucking vote for him. And it's like, okay. Historic crypto bill. Tell us about it.
And we're joined now by South Carolina Republican Representative William Timmons, a member of the House Financial Services Committee. Representative, thank you so much for being with us tonight. I want to dive into this cryptocurrency thing. Give us some clarity about the Genius Act and why this legislation that helps govern cryptocurrency is so important.
So the future of the global economy is in digital assets. And it's critical that the U.S. is the center of the global economy, as it's always been for the last 100 plus years. So there's two pieces of this, stablecoin and market structure. So stablecoin was just signed into law. That's the Genius Act. The next is Clarity, which we just passed out of the House. Both of these bills basically just make sure that the rules of the road are...
Dude, where are my crypto people? Do stablecoins actually matter that much? Is this just like a medium of exchange that you use on exchanges as opposed to just straight USD, or like... Are they that important?
The consumer protections, the legal framework are there to allow these businesses to make the U.S. economy their home. The future of the U.S. economy and the global economy is digital assets and innovation and blockchain technology, and we got to make sure that the U.S. is the center of that.
I want to talk about some criticism on the other side. The ranking member of the Financial Service Committee, Maxine Waters, was a staunch critic of this bipartisan legislation. She actually sounded the alarm in an op-ed saying the bill will, quote, open the floodgates to massive fraud and financial ruin for American families. Your response to that?
The ranking member doesn't understand how the internet works. She doesn't understand how digital assets work. She doesn't understand how any of the technology that she's talking about works. She literally just has no idea what she's talking about. But this is the thing. This has been a bipartisan effort. Overwhelmingly, the Genius Act had over 100 Democrats support it. The Clarity Act had more than that. So, this is not a partisan endeavor. The ranking member she's just wrong.
I do want to switch gears to Jeffrey Epstein. The president has suggested there is no, quote, smoking gun.
Did he explain anything? Did I just not understand? Or I don't even know what the fuck. I don't know. I still don't know what the fuck this bill is. Did I miss it? Or...
Waters was a staunch critic of this bipartisan legislation. She actually sounded the alarm in an op-ed saying the bill will, quote, open the flood of this bipartisan legislation. She actually sounded the alarm in an op-ed saying the bill will, quote, open the floodgates to massive fraud and financial ruin for American families. Your response to that?
The ranking member doesn't understand how the internet works. She doesn't understand how digital assets work. She doesn't understand how any of the technology that she's talking about works.
That was it. Okay.
She literally just has no idea what she's talking about. But this is the thing. This has been a bipartisan effort. Overwhelmingly, the Genius Act she's just wrong.
Okay.
I do want to switch gears to Jeffrey Epstein. The president has suggested there is no, quote, smoking gun in the Jeffrey Epstein files, but should the DOJ release the complete files as originally promised?
I don't understand this issue. I mean, I was a prosecutor for 5 years. I think that transparency is best. I guess the president and the Department of Justice have said they're going to release all of the documents relative to the.
I don't know anything about it. The master conservative debate technique, the unbeatable strategy. I don't know anything about
the indictment. I just think that the American people deserve to know the truth, and whatever that is, and however that goes, is what I think it should happen. But
whatever that is and however that goes. Oh, okay. Thank you. Finally, some clarity on the issue. Thank you.
it's relative to the indictment. I just think that the American people deserve to know the truth, and whatever that is, and however that goes, is what I think it should happen. But I trust the president, I trust the attorney general, and I think this is all going to work itself out.
Oh, he has no opinion. He just trusts the president and the AG. Oh, there's a clear conflict of interest. Oh, thank you. Trust the process, our institutions, yes.
Question for you. You represent part of South Carolina that includes Greenville and Spartanburg. About 20% of your district, that's more than 1 million people, rely on Medicaid. What have you heard from your constituents about the Medicaid cuts in the budget bill that passed earlier this month? What are they telling you? And then how do you reassure them if they're worried about losing coverage?
You're not going to lose coverage. In fact, it's actually going to make it better than it was before by saving us money on our taxes. No coverage, no eligibility. No, wait. No coverage is changing. Should he mention eligibility changes? Like work requirements? Nah, just say we save money. We're going to save money. And nobody's coverage is going away and less taxes. Come on, you can do it.
So the biggest issue with the Medicaid cuts, as the Democrats phrase it,
Yeah, that's the Democrats phrase it, are about work requirements, keeping people from scamming the system.
which is not really true, is that 5.5 million people are going to have to either work 20 hours a week or volunteer 20 hours a week in order to continue to maintain government subsidized health care. So again, this only affects able-bodied adults that have no children. So it's a red herring. It's not real. If you are getting free government health care because you are not making enough money, you need to pull your weight. And if you can't get a job for 20 hours a week, you can volunteer for 20 hours a week. This isn't that hard. So like 85% of the country agrees that if you are getting free government health care and you are able-bodied and you have no dependents, that you should work 20 hours a week. This is not a big deal. So I don't think that this is a real issue. It's a partisan issue. It's Democrats trying to say whatever the Republicans do is bad, and it's not real.
Well, you just used the term able-bodied people, and I just want to point out some.
Remember what I said before? They'll never break a promise because they're never actually doing anything against any of their promises. They are redefining words to always make the thing they're doing okay, right? I will not kill a single child in this country. And it's like, okay, yesterday you passed the slaughter all 6-year-olds bill. Can you explain that? Sure. So it's actually a fully automated process where knives are driven into their hearts. But actually, this isn't really killing the child at all. This is actually causing a cardio trauma event that reduces blood flow and then deoxygenation. We just don't revive them. It's not really killing in the traditional sense whatsoever. Like we're not blowing anybody up. There's no guns being used or whatever. So it's actually the cessation of life at age 6 for people that are, experiencing, these types of injuries. It's not really at all. Yeah. So actually, and it's like this. It's just redefining every single thing, right? We were told over and over again that Medicare, Medicaid wouldn't be cut. Remember, they freaked out about Medicare and Social Security in front of Biden. And, they booed him and, Biden roasted them over it, rightfully so. And now they are cutting Medicaid to people, but they're not actually cutting it. They're just changing eligibility requirements and they're putting more roadblocks up to getting it. So they're not actually cutting it at all. They're just changing the way that it's given out to people.
Well, you just used the term able-bodied people. And I just want to point out some data that shows that many of the people that you described, about 65%, actually do work. They work low-wage jobs, just not ones that pay or have benefits or health care. I'm curious, or they're either caretaking or taking care of themselves because they are ill. I want you to answer the question, how do you make sure that they don't fall through the cracks here? And I think that's
So
what
all they have
constituents
to do is
want
they
to
have to report that they're working. All they have to do is they have to report that they're working. It's very simple. And again, the 5 million people that are not report that they're working. It's very simple. And again, the 5 million people that are not currently reporting that they're working, all they have to do is report that they're working. And if they're not working, they can get a job. And if they're not going to get a job, they can volunteer.
Someone in K-Chat said, are work requirements a good thing or a bad thing? If done to a reasonable degree, I don't see the harm. I probably wouldn't mind that much. I could hear arguments on both sides of it. I probably wouldn't care. But don't tell me you're not going to change the, don't tell me you're not going to change how it's doled out, or don't tell me you're not going to cut back on it a little bit if you're planning on doing that. Just don't lie about it. That's all I'm saying. Be honest.
But 20 hours a week is a side job for many people. So I'm not asking a lot, but we have $37 trillion in debt. We got a $2 trillion annual deficit. You got to pull your weight if you want to get free healthcare. This isn't hard, and it's an 85% of the American people agree that if you're going to get free benefits and you're capable of contributing, you need to contribute.
All right, Congressman Timmons, thank you so much for being with us tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you. Final.
And we're joined now by South
That's
Carolina.
how we're going to shore our budget up. Work requirements on 15% of Medicaid people.
Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you, President Trump. It's a great honor to be here. And it's true that I'd never expected to work in government at all. And then everything changed after.
Is this guy one of the guys on that podcast with Chamath or whatever, or Chamath? I forget his name.
President Trump came on my podcast, and I accepted this job as crypto czar because I thought it was a once in a lifetime opportunity to work for a president who really wants to get things done for the American people. And if anything, that's been an understatement. The first 6 months of this administration have been more successful than any administration in American history. What's been done? It's just been incredible. President Trump has worked at tech speed. We're used to working fast in Silicon Valley, but even this is fast for us in Silicon Valley, the speed at which you move President Trump. It's really incredible. And now today, you have another historic legislative achievement that is a monumental step to fulfilling your promise to making the United States the crypto capital of the world. This Genius Act will unlock American dominance in the crypto industry by creating clear rules of the road. It will update archaic payment rails with a revolutionary new payment system. And it will extend U.S. dollar dominance, like you said, globally by creating a digital dollar that people all over the world can use. And for every...
Remember, the same group of sucks were petrified about the digital dollar, the digitalization. This used to be one of the biggest conspiracy theories. Maybe it was even part of the Great Reset after COVID, where they were like, they're trying to make a digital dollar. I don't even understand how this whole dumb conspiracy theory worked. Who pushed this shit? I know I heard it on Tim Pool once. Digital dollar, power, privacy, and financial surveillance.
Here's what's going on in the world.
Was that this? Did they talk about it here? 899 views. I remember hearing people. I don't even know what the full meme on it was.
Digital dollar in a crypto wallet, there'll be a traditional dollar in a U.S. bank account, which will create trillions of dollars of demand for U.S. Treasuries. So that is the power of this bill, is U.S. dollar dominance. U.S. bank account, which globally by creating a digital dollar that people all over the world can use. And for every digital dollar in a crypto wallet, there'll be a traditional dollar in a U.S. bank account, which will create trillions of dollars of demand for U.S. Treasuries. So that is the power of this bill, is U.S. dollar dominance.
What does that even mean? I don't fully understand even what. Is it, I don't understand. I'm sure there's something. I don't know. It's a conspiracy theory going back to the early 2000s, bro. My friend's grandma used to yell about how people will take the mark of the beast, which will be a chip, and you could only use the chip to buy anything in the end times. Digital currency was seen as a precursor to that based. People can spend the digital dollar, which is leveraged off real USD in people's bank accounts, I think. Okay, but like, why not just spend the digital dollars in your Wells Fargo account? What's the difference? Am I missing something? What? I can go online and I can log into a service that shows me my dollars digitally. Like Wells Fargo? No, not like that. It's like, it's you can transfer it to other people. Okay, like Wells Fargo? No. Like it's a digital dollar, but there's a real dollar for every dollar transferred. It's like, okay, like Wells Fargo? Like what? Like PayPal? Like Venmo? Like Cash App? Like any other like US bank? Like fascinating. He can pardon the son of the woman who helped publish the Ashley Biden diary because she's a MAGA simp, but is now suing media companies for the letter that he wrote LaMayo. What all was in that Biden diary? Ashley Biden's diary? Jesus. Wait, what was even the point of publishing it? I don't even remember about this. Trump pardons executive whose family sought to publicize Ashley Biden's diary, who'd been convicted of tax crimes, comes as the president, uses clemency to reward allies. and swipe at perceived enemies. Allegedly, Biden touched her in the shower. When first told of the diary, Miss Fago said she thought it would help Mr. Trump's chances of winning the election if it was made public. Okay, based. Project Veritas. All the stars are here. All the stars are here. $450 to Trump's 2020 campaign. Oh no.
Be a traditional dollar in a U.S. bank account, which will create trillions of dollars of demand for U.S. Treasuries. So that is the power of this bill, is U.S. dollar dominant.
How does this create more demand for USD than ordinary USD? I'm so confused about how any of this works. I would love to hear. Does David Sachs explain this on any of his podcasts? David Sachs explains stablecoin.
As Bitcoin hits those new highs, investors are still awaiting the stablecoin bill, see whether it will make its way through the Senate. Joining us now to discuss that bill and much more, White House AI and crypto czar David Sachs. David, good to see you again. I actually want to start on AI here because Jensen Huang talking to me earlier this month about these chip curbs, mentioning it again from Computex in Taipei this week. The idea that maybe they're not working, that we ought to just compete, get China, everybody else into our ecosystem. When America competes, America wins. What's your thinking, the administration's thinking on the usefulness of some of these chip curbs?
Well, John, good to be here. So on the chip curbs or export controls, I think there's strong bipartisan consensus in Washington not to let China have our most advanced semiconductors because there's a potential dual use to the technology. But I think that Jensen's right with respect.
There's a potential dual use to the technology of microprocessors. Isn't there a potential everything use for the technology? That's like saying there's a dual use for steel. Well, yeah. Yes. What a genius. My God. Thank you for the technocracy. The smartest men on the planet leading this country. Yes.
Because there's a potential dual use to the technology.
What you don't know, true, is they crush the semiconductors into fentanyl. True.
But I think that Jensen's right with respect to the rest of the world. We want the rest of the world using our semiconductors, building on the American tech stack, as opposed to...
Explain that. We need to bring in an engineer. What's the American tech stack? Can you explain that? Like, oh no, China just patched Python and now it's all written in Mandarin. That would suck.
Creating an opportunity for Huawei to come in and create a Huawei Belt and Road. So
Yahweh to come in? Is he Jewish?
I think we need to revise the export controls with respect to the rest of the world, but I think we have to keep them for China.
And what do we do about power? Elon Musk was on our air with our David Faber just yesterday, talking about what he's trying to build out with quite a few Blackwells and the challenge of getting enough power to actually make those AI factories happen. What kind of policy?
The AI factories, where they build the AIs. They actually released some footage, I think, of this.
To production.
I think this is in Austin, or is it Dallas?
Attention NS5s.
Is going to really benefit that in a way that's sustainable?
Well, John, I think the president has spelled it out. We need to unleash the American power industry. We need a lot more electricity in the United States. We need to make it easier to permit. We need to drill, baby, drill, as the president said. And we've got to...
God, dude, where are my technocrats? Does anybody get this right? I'm trying to think of, 1984, the people that are running aren't retards. Was Winston the guy that, no, Winston was the name of the main character, wasn't it? Who was the party member who was always talking to him? I think he was disguised at first as being a friendly collaborator, and then he finds out that he's an enemy. Are there any books that show the deep state or the secret country, spy apparatus being run by an actual bunch of fucking retards? Was it O'Brien?
Build, baby, build. We got to build these data centers. So I think the Trump administration wants to get all of these regulations out of the way. They want to alleviate the bottlenecks, and I think that's just the direction we just got to keep going in.
Now let's talk stable coins.
Regarding stablecoins, if you're buying crypto, there has to be a pair for it. E.g., if you want to buy Bitcoin, you buy it with a stablecoin, USDT, USDC, or Ethereum, or some other pair. You can often buy Bitcoin with USD regular dollar directly. However, less popular coins might not have a USD pairing, so you swap your USD to USDT or USDC, a stablecoin, and then swap the stablecoin for the specific coin you want. Why would you have to swap the coin? Is there even a mechanism for swapping? Is there an actual blockchain mechanism for swapping? Or are you just talking about you send the coin and then when it's confirmed, the other person sends the coin and then they confirm? Dual use, as this guy is using it, refers to the crossover between commercial and military uses, e.g., certain aerospace tech would be considered dual use. Sure, I guess. But I mean, like, the problem with microprocessors and everything extends far beyond just like military. The whole fucking world, every single fucking thing we use at my never mind. Like, I feel like this is important tech that impacts every single part of the world. And I think you could argue that every single part of it is essential. Like, not just the military application, but the commercial application is also probably of national security interest. If somebody could cut off our, access to microprocessors, even if we still had them available for military use, it would be horrible. I'm just saying, it's just a bunch of like empty bullshit, meaningless statements that don't have, it's all just, I don't know how to explain it. It's just hollow nothing statements. Like, if you ask me, like, what do you think Destiny, what do you think crypto's application could be for the future of the United States? Okay. And then I'm David Nutsacks, okay, on CNBC, okay? I think that crypto's application for the future is essential. I think that there is no world where the United States isn't actively engaged in some sort of facilitation of cryptocurrency events that are occurring all over the world and are affecting all of our lives. I think that the future dominance of the United States is going to be determined by our place in the world of crypto and how we both engage in and bolster our ability to manage crypto and to regulate crypto, and for the government to understand and be able to, directly interact with and interface with cryptocurrency in the way that it affects us in, a myriad of ways through all parts of our lives. And I just think it's essential that we get a handle on cryptocurrency and crypto technologies. And there are so many derivative things that are built off of these things that are going to be essential for future companies. And it's just so important as being like the home of crypto and AI and our ability to meaningfully engage with these things and to create an environment where consumers are able to engage with these things and to facilitate, consumer engagement with these different technology. And it's just like, what are you saying? There's nothing. You're not saying anything. Can you not hear that? Can you not hear that nothing is being said? There's nothing of substance that's being said here. Nothing is being said. Do you understand what I'm saying? There's nothing that's being said here of anything.
I think that's just the direction we just got to keep going in.
Now let's talk stablecoins. There's this bill trying to make its way through the Senate.
Is it not clocking to you that he's not standing on business?
What's your take on the concerns, certainly on the Democrat side of the aisle, that there aren't enough safeguards here to keep maybe the president himself and his family from benefiting from this kind of legislation?
Well, so first of all, we have significant bipartisan support for this. I think 15 Democrats voted for the bill to pass this key procedural threshold of cloture, which means there'll be no filibuster against the bill. We have every expectation now that it's going to pass. And I think the reason it's going to pass is because stablecoins offer a new, more efficient, cheaper, smoother payment system, new payment rails for the U.S. economy. It also extends the dominance of the dollar online, and it also creates billions of dollars or trillions of dollars of demand for our treasury. So I think for all these reasons, this stablecoin bill is going to pass, and it's going to pass with significant bipartisan support.
How long?
Oh, I'm sorry, Jesus, God, I feel like I'm getting amnesia. I thought that the guy asked, how are we going to be sure that like the president doesn't take advantage of any of the cryptocurrency or use it to personally register? I thought that's what he said, but I must have completely misheard what he said.
Senate, what's your take on the concerns, certainly on the Democrat side of the aisle, that there aren't enough safeguards here to keep maybe the president himself and his family from benefiting from this kind of legislation?
Oh, that is what he said. So what was the answer? How is this going to prevent the president, who already is running two of the largest crypto scams in the world, how is it going to prevent him from taking advantage of this system to enrich himself?
Well, so first of all, we have significant bipartisan support for this. I think 15.
Okay, bipartisan support is one way. Okay.
Democrats.
Significant bipartisan support, 15, by the way. Okay.
Voted for the bill to pass this key procedural threshold of cloture, which means there'll be no filibuster against the bill. We have every expectation now that it's going to pass.
Okay, it's going to pass. So they have bipartisan support and it's going to pass. Okay.
And I think the reason it's going to pass is because stablecoins offer a new, more efficient, cheaper, smoother payment system.
New, more efficient, cheaper, smoother payment system. Okay.
Some new payment rails for the U.S. economy. It also extends the dominance of the dollar.
And the dollar will be more dominant. Okay.
Online. And it also creates billions of dollars or trillions of dollars of demand for our treasury. So.
Okay. And more money for the treasury. But not inflationary money, the better kind of money, I guess.
I think for all these reasons, the stablecoin bill is going to pass. And it's going to pass with significant bipartisan support.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Thankfully, the interviewer holds his feet to the fire and he recenters and asks the same question again because this literal ballsack didn't address a single thing that we said. But okay.
How long do you think before stablecoin would start to really have that dollar support effect you're talking about?
Oh, just kidding. My bad.
I mean, I think it'll be immediate. So we already have over $200 billion in stablecoins. It's just unregulated. And I think that if we provide the legal clarity and legal framework for this, I think we could create trillions of dollars of demand for our treasuries practically overnight, very quickly.
I understand that you have argued that it was important in this trip through the Middle East just now, making some of the deals, particularly around AI that the administration did, to get in there versus China, Belt and Road style, doing it as well. What do you say to the criticism?
It is really difficult. It's this common complaint that I hear from the Japanese and the Canadians who are like, I don't know how to, buy treasury bonds. It's just very difficult to figure out the process online. Sometimes you've got to make an account. There's a bunch of weird symbols, like the S with the slashes through it. Is it 1/? Is it 2/? Right? What is dollars? Is it that or is it that? There's a lot of weird abbreviations, and thank God we're going to have the stablecoin cryptocurrency system to smooth out that process. Thank you, God. Thank you, God.
That there's some moral ambiguity around the dealings with the likes of Saudi Arabia, given some of the headlines we've had about that regime's actions over the last few years.
Oh, moral ambiguity about dealing with Saudi Arabia. Oh, how is he going to answer this?
Well, I don't buy it. I mean, here's the thing.
Not true. Based.
These countries are extremely resource rich, they're energy rich, and they have the largest sovereign wealth funds in the world. If we don't partner with them, they're going to be forced into China's arms, and they want to partner with us. They want to build, they're on the American tech stack. They don't want to be building on the Chinese tech stack. So I think it's in our interest to partner with
not the American versus the Chinese tech stack. Oh no!
These countries, and to have them be the piggy bank for our AI efforts, not China's.
So back to the AI question. What kind of scale do you think is necessary for AI to be successful policy-wise in the U.S.? And is your sense that...
Wait, was this supposed to be about AI or crypto? Or is every digital thing just the fucking same? Are they all just the same fucking thing? Is that...
The administration is thinking about that as they're addressing big tech in ways that they don't want Europe to necessarily hit us, but it's unclear how much M&A and how much size is going to be allowed here.
Well, I think we want to win the AI race. That's the bottom line, John. And I think we're going to do what's necessary in terms of building, in terms of creating more power, in terms of supporting innovation. I think we're going to do all those things. America has to win the AI race. If we don't, it'll be very bad for our economy.
Okay, cool. So power, as we are tariffing and cutting ourselves off from resources in the rest of the world. That's not completely fair, though, because the biggest people that we get energy from isn't the rest of the world, is Canada. Oh, we're cutting ourselves off from them too. Okay. And then things like innovation, as we slash scientific research all over the country. And then having the best and brightest, as we murder our colleges, we make it harder to immigrate here. And tourism has taken a historic nosedive because nobody wants to come to the whole of a country ran by these actual demons.
It'll be very bad for our military. So I think we're going to do what's necessary to win this race.
What a great interview. God, I hate that guy. Him and Chamath or whatever. How will it boost dollar demand? Okay, I just want to hear the explanation of this.
I think the immediate question is the immediacy of how quickly the bill passes to the president's desk and how you see that happening.
Well, thanks, Ed. Glad to be here. So the next step here is for the House to take it up, and I think the House is considering its options, but I think we're basically at the finish line here. The House already passed a similar version of the bill called the Stables Act, and I think that we're very close here to having a bill that can go to the president's desk.
There is also a lot of parallel interest from our audience, in particular, in the market structure efforts that are underway. Do you believe or see the president considering packaging them together, the stablecoin legislation with market structure?
Well, like I said, I think the House is still considering its options. The issue with packaging them together is that the market structure bill has never been taken up by the Senate. It did pass the House in the last Congress, but it never passed the Senate or was even taken up by the Senate. And so you could say that the market structure bill is on the 10-yard line, whereas the market structure bill is really, just a few yards away from becoming law. So I think there are different stages of the process, and if they were packaged together, it would slow down the stablecoin bill. But those decisions still have to be made.
Let's just talk about what this could unleash if it does go forward. Stablecoins could swell to as high as $3.7 trillion by 2030. That's according to Citi. But are we seeing perhaps a delay in regulation elsewhere that could stymie that sort of growth? Citi is saying, look, if we don't see others getting on the bandwagon here, it could be limited to just $500 billion.
No, I mean, I think that the stablecoin bill is very helpful. It provides regulatory clarity and stability for the stablecoin industry. Like you were saying, there's already something like $250 billion in float of stablecoins.
What is the, when you talk about the USDT or whatever, what blockchain is that on? Is that on Ethereum? What is the transfer cost if I'm sending 1,000? Is it USDT? If I'm sending 1,000 of that to somebody, what is the processing cost for that? Or how much do you pay? What's the fee for that?
And that's without there being a true regulatory framework in the United States. Right now, the number one issuer of stablecoins is offshore. And what this bill would do is provide, like I said, the regulatory clarity and safety. It would bring the whole stablecoin industry onshore. It would enhance consumer protection. The issuer.
What does he mean when he says it would bring it onshore? I thought this was digital. Can it be anywhere on the internet? What is that? I don't know what that means. Am I retarded? We want the Bitcoins in America, not in the other places. Isn't it all public ledgers that every other computer system is verified? Does he mean most of the processing power for it here? Can somebody explain to me what that means? I'm too retarded. I don't understand it. I need this guy to explain this to me, please.
Issuers of stablecoins would have to get audited on a quarterly basis. Consumers could be confident that their dollar-based stablecoins were reserved on a one-to-one basis with actual dollars in U.S. bank accounts, and I think this would increase confidence in.
We're finally getting off the fiat system, and we're moving to an actual. I love how the same people, these same fucking cocksuckers that are always talking about how horrible USD is, how horrible fiat currency is because it's not backed by gold, are now championing an actual digital currency that's backed by fiat currency. It's backed by USD. How do you know your USDT is good? How do I know it's good? Because it's backed by USD. I thought that was garbage. It's
on a one-to-one basis with actual dollars in U.S. bank accounts. And I think this would increase confidence in the industry. And I think that you would also see banks getting into the act. I think you'd see traditional financial players getting involved in it. And that's why the float is expected to grow from, call it, roughly 250 billion to trillions of dollars. And that would create more demand for the U.S. dollar internationally. I think you could see other economies start to dollarize from the bottom up as their citizens would prefer to use U.S. digital dollars as opposed to trillions of dollars. And that would create more demand for the U.S. dollar internationally. I think you could see other economies start to dollarize from the bottom up as their citizens would prefer to use U.S. digital dollars as opposed to whatever fiat currency they're using.
Is he envisioning like countries just completely and totally abandoning their currency? I don't even think you could do that legally in other countries, unless he's just assuming that the governments wouldn't crack down on it or wouldn't be able to care, because you wouldn't be able to pay any taxes. You wouldn't be able to buy or license or get any services from the government. You would, all of a sudden, you just have a business that shows zero revenue, zero expenses. And it's like, oh, well, I guess they're cool. I don't know.
And that would create potentially trillions of dollars of new demand for U.S. Treasury. So I think this bill is a major piece of legislation. I think it's a fantastic bill just on its own. I think that the House should go ahead and take it up. And I think
also, wait, how the f do they even buy these? How would they even get USDT? Somebody would have to be accepting their bogus currency that's now worthless, because why the f would you accept, like the people in that country don't even use that currency. Why the f would I sell you USD in that currency? I don't know, man. I would love to hear a breakdown of how this would work.
I think they will take it up, and I think they're going to put it on the president's desk very soon.
What about businesses taking it up? As you say, people waiting in the wings, reports, Amazon, Walmart wanting to have their own stablecoin issuance. What is the regulatory oversight going to be like? You say, of course, it's put in stone in terms of the law. What about the resources for the regulation? Because there's going to be a lot to analyze, it feels like.
Well, you see, it's regulated by the blockchain. It regulates itself. That's the beautiful thing about it.
Yeah, so stablecoins will be under the purview of the banking system, and banking regulators will look at that and say,
oh, they'll just do it. Banking regulators will look at it. It'll be part of the banking system. Okay.
Coin issuers will have to go through a regulatory process, and they'll get approved. And like I said, there'll be quarterly audits. And I think that
I like how he just doesn't answer the question at all. Like, won't you need different or newer resources or like some other different thing to regulate these? He's like, no, all the normal stuff will just do what the normal stuff does. Okay.
The bill will provide the framework that will give confidence to a lot of traditional financial players to enter the space. And so I think you're going to see new stablecoin products. And I think you'll also see stablecoins being used as payments. I think this is one of the really exciting things about the bill is that blockchain infrastructure will be used as a new kind of dollar-based payment system.
Yes.
That's faster, it's more efficient, smoother. It's a payment system of the future. It's kind of ironic that when the crypto industry really started with Bitcoin about 15 years ago, what was anticipated is that you would get a new kind of currency. You would get a non-fiat currency. But as it turns out, a really important use case of blockchains has been to support digital dollars, to support tokenized.
Yes. Another question is, let's assume that people adopt blockchains, because right now I think that it is true that it's probably cheaper to transfer on a blockchain, but I wonder how much of that is due to the fact that there are less people utilizing it than traditional payment methods. If you were to, because Bitcoin I think became incredibly expensive to start to transfer on. So what if it was the case that all of these people started to switch over to blockchain transfers for money? Would it not become more expensive and
dollars? And I think you'll see the extension of that payment system online with that legislation. And that's a really exciting thing. We don't want this innovation being driven offshore right now. Like I said, the leading stablecoin issuer is offshore. I think that you will see this be a new US-based payment system that emerges online.
David, I'm looking at, for example, shares of Coinbase and Circle and basically the market cheering the passage of the bill. You're basically talking about dollarization. And I wondered if you just reflect for a minute of how you feel that the final sort of composition of this legislation supports the goals, the bigger picture goals that you and the president had hoped for when you set out to do it.
Sure. So when the president first took office, and even before he took office, when he was on the campaign trail, he promised to make the United States the crypto capital of the planet, and to replace the approach of the Biden administration, which was essentially regulation through prosecution. I mean, the Biden administration was doing everything.
Oh, can I just say, I love how all these crypto fucking losers just totally gave up on ever creating like real stable cryptocurrencies. And now they're just like, listen, we are going to create a stable cryptocurrency. How are you going to ensure the value of the currency is stable? Well, we're just going to go ahead and peg it on the USD. Oh, okay. You figured it out. That's how you make a stable digital currency, by just artificially pegging the value on one USD. Oh, fuck. How didn't we realize it? Nice.
It could, to drive crypto companies offshore. And he promised to change that approach and provide regulatory clarity so that the innovation could happen in the United States. And I think that, the Trump administration has done that. Even before this bill, the president had signed an executive order to make Bitcoin a strategic reserve asset, providing, I think, a kind of legitimacy for the industry that it had been seeking. We also have formed a president's working group on digital assets that's been systematically hunting down and eliminating some of these war on crypto regulations that have been impeding the industry. The bottom line here is that we just want
Name one. Why not give an example of anything? I don't know.
What founders and entrepreneurs have been asking for is just tell us what the rules are and we'll abide by those rules. So we've been trying to provide that regulatory clarity. But at the end of the day, if you want to make sure that the rules stay stable for founders, you need to enshrine them in law. And it's great when you can get the various agencies and departments of the government to change their rules to take up better rulemaking. And we've done that. But again, the way that you provide long-term protection against the return of a new Gary Gensler or something like that is you enshrine them into law. And that's what this bill, the Genius Act, would do. And it's also what the market structure legislation would do. And we want to do that next, to be short.
Sorry to interrupt you. What is missing from the bill and what Democrats push for was specific controls on the president and the president's family in their ability to move within the corners of the crypto market with which they're affiliated. There's a lot of concern that wasn't done. Is the concern justified?
Oh, hold on. So many YouTube shows they donated and I ignored them. There's a country in Africa that uses prepaid phone minutes as their de facto currency. Cool.
I don't think so. I mean, so first of all, you should ask them what they're doing, because I'm not involved in any particular company's products. I'm just an innovation advisor. But my understanding is that what they've said is the president's assets are in a blind trust. His sons are not in the government. They're adults and they're allowed to engage in business. And they have a company. And I think that these are unrelated things.
You're an innovation expert, not just in crypto, but in AI too. We shift there a little bit because...
An expert, yes. An expert. Tell us, expert, please.
You've hunted down rules that perhaps weren't serving some in the business entrepreneurship in the US, for example, the diffusion rule. But what follows it, David?
Well, I think it's a good question about what comes next. I think the problem with the diffusion rule, this was the Biden diffusion rule that was dropped at the 11th hour by the Biden administration, something like 5 days before the end of their term. I don't think it was really thought through. It was overly burdensome. And what it did is it required every sale of a GPU worldwide to, it required a license from the Commerce Department, or one of several narrow exemptions that also had to be lawyered. And so this was just incredibly burdensome. I think it impeded the global, the U.S. semiconductor business and the U.S. data center business. I think it hampered its market share worldwide, which should be an important objective of U.S. policy.
Let's give an example. That's good.
Is for the U.S. to win the AI race by becoming the dominant tech stack internationally. So the diffusion rule, I think, would have shot our technology industry in the foot out of a concern to prevent chips from going to China. To be sure, I think that the leading American semiconductor should not go to China, but we have export controls on that. And I don't think we need a new global licensing regime on every single GPU transaction to achieve that objective.
David, Jensen Huang was on the show very recently, and he expressed his concern that Huawei has technology that is as performant as NVIDIA's H200. There had been a lot of focus on H20. I know that the Commerce Department has issued some assessment of how much Huawei can produce. I think they said 200,000 GPU capacity. But there are concerns that actually their ability to export to markets outside of America is much greater than that. What is your assessment of how China can compete with its own GPUs in markets?
Destiny, money just represents value. Currently, USD is backed by the US, and you are willing to accept it for value like work. If people come to accept it, then it is no worse than any other currency. I'm not defending the many issues, just that you're implying it can't somehow replace the USD. No. In the United States of America, USD can be anything because it's the United States dollar, because you can pay your taxes in it. You can pay for services from the federal government in it. If the government is not willing to accept another currency to pay taxes or whatever, then you run into a problem where at least in the United States, I shouldn't say in a lot of other countries, in the US, you can't have competing currencies. It's like literally, it's like illegal to create a competing currency. I don't know how the Bitcoin people or crypto coins get around it. Maybe that's part of what the new legislative framework is. But in other countries, like if I was accepting all of my transactions in USD, I would have to make that equivalent to whatever that government's currency was. And then I would have to pay, I would imagine, most countries have taxes, you'd have to pay your taxes to that government in the actual government's currency. And there's no way that you could escape being tethered to your government's currency to some extent.
Markets outside of America.
Well, it is true that today China is supply constrained on how many GPUs they can produce. But I would expect that to change pretty rapidly because China has proven adept at working around our restrictions. And you saw that back in January, we had this DeepSeek moment where before DeepSeek, people thought that Chinese AI models were years behind. And then DeepSeek launched, we realized that maybe they're more like 3 to 6 months behind. I think today, China is maybe 1.5 to 2 years behind us in chip design, but Huawei is moving fast to catch up. And even before they fully caught up, I think you will see them exporting their chips for the global market. For example, there was a story out of Malaysia that they were creating a sovereign data center with Huawei SN chips, and that story got walked back because because I think the government was afraid of the U.S. reaction. But it was a minister of the government who did announce that they were creating a sovereign data center using Huawei chips.
Jesus, Leon's Law. Man, I got to bail both my parents out of jail. I hope everyone else is having a good day. Both of them. Based.
Was afraid of the U.S. reaction, but it was a minister of the government who did announce that they were creating a sovereign data center using Huawei chips. So I think that we do have to be concerned about Huawei competing on the global market.
Corporations paying fair taxes? What planet are you living on? Oh, it's fucking true, bro. Fucking true. All the large corporations, wealthy people all cheat on the taxes. Oh, fucking true, bro. That's such a truth bomb. Oh, fucking true. Oh my god, bro. Oh my god, bro.